Hey everybody, welcome back to Battle Ready Inc. So today's deck profile for you, we're covering Cross. This is going to be a Merva Turbo Cross, and I want to be upfront out the gate. This list isn't like overly spicy or anything like that. This is just like all of my builds. I am straightforward, just here to win. I don't want any crazy spicy text. I just want my deck to do its thing, right? And that's how I've made it this far in this game, is making lists like this. I don't want any crazy text or anything like that. I just want pure, unadulterated proficiency in all of my builds, okay? But I do want to show off a list at the very end of a deck that did really, really well in a recent tournament that I thought blew my mind. So this, for the most part, is going to be a walkthrough just to explain how things, people that want to play this deck, explain how they work and all the interactions and why we play the cards we do. Okay, so for the most part, this is going to be more of an entry level for this deck and just like, you know, efficient as possible in doing what it does. And at the end, I do have something for the rest of you guys. If you want to skip ahead to that, if you want to skip over all my explanations, go for it. I don't blame you. But I do have a really cool list that I want to show at the very end of this. But first, I got to show off our new featured memory marker for this month for Patreon. This is Balmon. It's his Lugamon's baby form. Super, super cute. I absolutely love this little guy. His little paws there and a little tail. He's got the little tufts of hair. This is handmade out of clay and hand painted as well by my wife, Digimon. You can also find this on her Etsy page. If you don't want to go through Patreon and you just want to get it direct, you can do that as well. Also there on her Patreon page, you can find a lot of her other memory markers that we featured in the past. And I will say that some of them are becoming more scarce and less likely to be made. So if there's a certain one on there that you're really wanting, I definitely recommend checking it out and probably getting it, because she's more and more here recently been looking at dropping a few of them. So just be warned, if you're on the fence about pulling the trigger on a certain one, it might be one of the ones that might be getting pulled soon. Also, if you guys are a fan of buying cards and singles online like I am, I recommend checking out cardtrader.com. I'll have a link in the description below that you can go and use to sign up. You'll instantly get a free $2 to use on cardtrader.com. It's a great website because if you use their Card Trader Zero program, what they do is they gather all the cards that you're buying at their warehouse and then they ship them to you for a single shipping cost. It sucks when you have to pay more for the shipping than you do the cards themselves. That's when cardtrader.com comes in clutch. So just use my link, go sign up and get yourself free $2 and go start buying some singles. All right, so as always, I've got the whole deck profile pulled up for you guys so you can kind of follow along with us here. I drew heavy inspiration from a friend of mine, Winter. You probably see him troll posting all the time in all of the Facebook posts, in all the Facebook groups. But this was a majority, if not entirely, a list that he took to that he has had great luck with, and then I went ahead and gave it a spun, and I really enjoyed it as well. Playing this deck feels super dirty. It is very aggressive and extremely fast. I would say the only thing is it's extremely high roll. At the same time, you don't really have time to build up in this deck. You're also not really taking your time to build up into anything, right? Everything you're doing is just like straightforward drop, swing, you know, rush, all that sort of things. So you don't really need to like find a whole bunch of pieces. Like the most you need to do is get enough things for Merva to bring back from the trash and find pieces for Cross 5 if you want to go into Cross 5 at all. And that's really it. Unlike the other Cross 7 build that requires multiple pieces and a decent bit of setup, this doesn't really need any of that. As long as you see just a couple powerful cards, you can just absolutely pop off at any time and literally kill your opponent, by turn 2, turn 3. So, and in large part in that is because of your memory gain options. If you can get enough of these guys and enough of your other pieces in play by, turn 2, turn 3, you could probably just immediately win. That's how powerful and how fast this deck is. It's that good. So let's do the card by card. Of course, the first one, pick Mons. This is like your go-to. This is really the only choice we have for Crossheart when attacking. If you have Crossheart in the traits, draw 1. Even our Ignite Mon has cross art here. So we run Ignite specifically, blah, 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 because we run the Merva. Combos pretty nicely with the Merva. So when attacking, by deleting one of your other Digimon, delete one of your opponent's unsuspended Digimon with a level less than or equal to the deleted Mon's level. If you saw the feature match earlier this week, you saw how powerful this can be. We swung with our Cross 3, and then we popped our Cross 3 with Ignite, which allowed us to material save a lot of our materials, and then immediately use those materials to go into another, play. So that's really good with Ignite, is to pop those the crosses that you might have that survive, that you kind of maybe didn't want to survive for whatever reason. Mainly your cross 3s. I think that's the big main thing, is after they attack, you kind of, once they hit, you kind of want them to die, so that way they material save. So Ignite's really good for that. And then also the inheritable alternates. Once per turn, when you play a Digimon by an effect, gain 1. This is really powerful if you use it as a cross material for Merva to reduce her play cost. When you use her effect then to play out something for free, which we'll talk about if you're not familiar, she gets to play out 1 or 2 things for free. You would gain memory off the Ignite. So yeah, extremely powerful. I think I might have misplayed that inheritable, actually. I already had games, I wasn't really worried about it. But yeah, when you use your Merva, you can actually make her a little bit cheaper if you're grabbing Ignite. Jumping back here, Sparrowmon. This is often an ideal target to use for your raising area here, because 4 play cost is a bit much, but 0 Evo all turns. While you have another Digimon or Tamer with Crossheart or Twilight in its traits in play, this Digimon gets plus 3k, so he's a 5k swinging into security. And then on deletion save. His main thing, though, it's not because he's just a 5k beater that we're swinging into security. It's he's our source for reboot, as well as he is a requirement for cross 5. For one of our cross requirements, he is a cross, so we will run him. But that reboot is like the main other reason that we're running him. But yeah, just just for our 2 cross 5s here. Just need to see one of them at some point during the game. For our main parts of our list here is these next 4 ofs here. I have seen some people drop 1-star Mons in favor of a single star sword if you want that. I don't think the star sword's overly necessary. I think I'd just rather have the star Mons personally. So on deletion save, then it has the inheritable of when attacking, if it has Shoutmon in its name, draw 1. So the idea is to cross, into like your cross 5 here, where Starmons is a requirement. So you can make him there. Don't believe... Oh, Starmons is on across 4 as well. So yeah, it gives you multiple sources to go to for that crossplay. It's pretty solid. 4 of doesn't feel overly necessary just because we don't have a ton of targets for it. But it is pretty much a must-have. If you're running cross 4, you really need your Starmons as well. Next, we got, of course, Shoutmon. He's a must-have at 4 of. He's a fantastic searcher. On play here, reveal the top 3, add 1 Digimon card and 1 Tamer card, both with Crossheart and their traits among them to your hand. Place the rest on the bottom. On deletion, save. And then this is the guy that gives you your Rush. So while this Digimon has Shoutmon in its name, it gains Rush. Super, super strong. So all your crosses that you go into, you will always pretty much have to have a Shoutmon underneath because you want that Rush. That Rush is literally what makes this deck so powerful, is all the rushing that we do. Between the Shoutmon here and the Merva giving out Rush as well for the stuff that she gets. Yeah, it's a must-have. It's a fantastic search card for the deck, and the inheritable is godly. Next, we got the Ballistamon. He's going to be a blocker for the deck, while you have a Tamer with the Crossheart trait. He's got the save. He's also going to give you Piercing as an inheritable. Again, just another requirement. The nice thing is, he combos with the Zenjiro, and then same with the Derulo combos with the Akari. You want to maximize on these guys, because if those Tamers get hit in security and you don't have one of these to play out for free immediately, it feels like a huge waste. Again, if you saw the feature match, I think we had a Zenjiro and an Akari got hit in security, and we didn't have either to play out yet. It sucked so bad. So you got to run the 4 of just to help the likelihood of that happening early game. Derulo here, the on play, if you have a Tamer or cross trait, it gives a Digimon minus 3k, and then has the inheritable. While this Digimon has Shoutmon in its name, all of your opponent's security Digimon get minus 2k. We don't have jamming in this build. Unlike like the Hunters, they have access to Clockmon, giving them jamming. We don't have that, so we really, really need either we desperately want our stuff to die in security so we can material save, or we really don't want it to die in security, so we can do like Shoutmon's end of attack ability, or the Shoutmon Cross 5. You got security attack +1 here. You want to get that second hit in. You don't want to die on the first check. So that's where Digimon kind of comes in handy in that aspect. Next, of course, we do have the Cross 4, material save 2, so if he would be deleted, you can then save 2 of his materials here. On play, draw 2, which is really nice. End of attack, this is the one I was talking about, though. You want him to survive the check. You don't want this guy to get deleted. You want your Shoutmon Cross 4 to survive, so you can use your end of attack by placing all Digivolution cards from under this Digimon under one of your Tamers, unsuspend one of your Tamers, and delete this Digimon. So he pops himself to just recycle everything, so you can just go into yet another Shoutmon Cross. Really strong. And so Digicross, if you're not familiar with how Digicross works, I'm going to give you a quick rundown here. You have Digicross -2. So for every one of these guys that are listed here on the card, you can minus the play cost by 2. So Shoutmon 2, Ballistamon 2, Darullamon 2, and Starmon. So you can -8 on this guy in total by putting all 4 of these cards in this exact order underneath him. Right? Keep that in mind. It has to be in this exact order, because if you get de-digivolved or something like that, the next card in line is extremely important to know which one it is. So you can make him a 1 play cost. And if you place all these guys underneath, you know, you're going to have your Rush, which is going to be really strong. The -2k on your opponent's security. Digimon, the Piercing, so they can't even block you. So really strong card. There's a reason he's at 1, because we can only run him at 1 because he's so dang powerful. Still a fantastic card, though. We will absolutely run him. Next is the Cross 3. We run the Cross 3 because not only is it another Shoutmon Cross, it's easier to cross with. It also has the Digicross -2, so we can make this guy a 1 play cost as well. And again, we put that Shoutmon underneath, and he gains Rush. Like, that is like the #1 reason that this deck is possible, is because Shoutmon giving all these crosses Rush is super strong. It's like that, and then the Merva for game is literally why this deck is so powerful. If you disagree with that, then whatever. I don't know what to tell you. It's aggressive deck. You want to rush. Material save 2 if you get deleted. Start of your turn, by deleting this Digimon, gain 1 memory. So you can delete him to gain 1. I'm not an overly big fan of this. I see people using it, but I'm just like, I'd rather just swing and get another security check and then material save out of him. On play, reveal 3. This is the main big one. The second most important reason, besides him being a Shoutmon, that he's super cheap to play. You only need 3 targets to cross with to make him a 1 play cost. But his on play is also good because reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Add 2 cards with Cross Heart and or Blue Flare and their traits among them to your hand. Place the remaining cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. It's really nice. The Cross 3 is really strong in the Cross 7 build because you can add like the Z Greymon, which has Blue Flare. You could add that off of your search, whereas some of your other searches can't hit him. So just kind of keep that in mind. But yeah, so really another strong one here. So we're going to max out on 4 of those. There's been plenty of games where it's like early game, I crossed one thing with this guy, and if my opponent has a memory fixer, it doesn't even feel that bad. I can cross with this guy just to get that search, to get that early game dig. Feels pretty solid. Don't mind it. Cross 5, only a 2 Cross 5. This is a pretty popular one to run only at 2. I do think he is a fantastic card, though. He's got material save 3, which is great, but he also takes 5 materials. But you can play him for free if you have all 5, which I think is very strong. He's got security attack +1 and blocker. Again, if you're using the Sparrowmon, which is one of his requirements, you get reboot. So reboot blocker, pretty solid. Security attack +1, so you can be really aggressive with him. If he survives, he'll reboot and he'll become a blocker for you. A super strong card. Just again, he takes more pieces. So seeing all 5 of these materials, you're not going to see all 5 of these early game. It's about mid game when Cross 5 becomes super strong. So that's why we only run him at a 2 of, just because we don't need to see him early game. As long as we can see him by mid game, we'll be in a good position. So that's why we just run the 2 of him. I've seen some lists running 3 of him. I don't mind that, but I know a lot of people are very against running 3 of him. I think he's a strong card though myself. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. 2 is a solid number, absolutely. I wouldn't really want to run less than that, but 2 seems fine. Merva. Okay, so this is what makes this version of the deck so much different and so much more explosive than other versions of this deck. This is a Merva Turbo deck, whereas a lot of the other decks might run Merva, which is completely understandable. It doesn't make those other decks a Merva Cross deck. We had a big debate about this at my shop. It's like, well, why is this specifically the Merva build? It's because we run 8 memory options to play her out and keep it on our turn so that we can rush down. If it wasn't a Merva Turbo deck, you're not running these option cards. You're just playing Merva and passing. If you're playing Merva and passing like every single game, it's not necessarily a Merva Turbo deck because you're not trying to just win on the turn that you play her. All right. So what makes her so dang like great that you're willing to run Gravity Crush and Blinding Ray at 4 of each, right? Because those are detrimentally, like, they're strong, but they also hurt you a lot. So why would we run all these cards? All right, so when you would play this card, you can also place cards from your trash in Digivolution cards for Digicrossed, which really works really well with that Ignite, like I was talking about earlier. And on play or when Digivolving, in this build, you'll always Digivolve pretty much. You may play 1 purple level 4 or lower Digimon card, or 1 level 4 or lower Digimon card with Crossheart and its traits from your trash without paying the cost. If Digicrossing, add 1 to the number of cards you can play with this effect. You could win Digivolve her on top of your Cross 5. Keep that in mind. If you've got 4 memory and your opponent has nothing, you attacked with your Cross 5, you're like, how do I win? You know, it's like, I just need 1 more attack. You don't have to Digicross Merva. You just need 1 more body. Digivolve Merva on top of your Cross 5, play out that single guy for free, and then win, okay? So just keep that in mind as well. A lot of people don't actually think about that because the Cross 5 is a red-black level 5. She Digivolves on top of black 5s for 4. So you could win Digivolve her for game. And then all turns, all of your Digimon with Crossheart in traits with Retaliation gain... Sorry, all your Digimon with Crossheart in traits or Retaliation gain Rush and Blocker. So that's good. And that's all turns. So you could play this out for 8, right? So your Digicross -3, 1 Digimon card with Crossheart in the traits. Anything you want. Again, the main choice people often go with is Ignite. You could go with like Ballistamon for Pierce. You could grab Sparrow for that reboot. You know, there's lots of different things you could go with because she's a reboot blocker because she's going to give herself that ability here, the Rush and the Blocker. So you don't need the Shoutmon underneath it here, and you got the blocker built in. So the reboot is pretty solid on her. Great card, like very versatile. You can use her offensively or defensively. Use her defensively until you can come back to your turn and then win. Very, very powerful card. Extremely, extremely. That we run it as a 3 of in this build. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be a Merva Rush. You can work her into other cross builds. It's fine. Now, you'll notice my Tamers, I'm maxed out at 4 of on all of them. So I was talking about other people kind of cut down some of them here and there to 3, some even down to 2, so that way they can work in more text, and more text. I don't want a lot of text, okay? I need to win. Like, this is not a flexible deck. If you're like working in a bunch of text trying to be flexible with the deck, I think it's going to actually do more detriment than good. If I could have just maxed out on the pieces and seen my pieces faster, I could win faster. That's at least my mentality for it. Take it or leave it. So 4 of Zenjiro, fantastic card. On play, again, if it gets hit in security, you can use its on-play effects. It gets to play out for free. You can play a Ballistamon from your hand or under one of your Tamers without paying its cost. So get to play a Ballistamon for free during your opponent's turn. It's got Blocker, super strong combo there. This next part, though, is only on your turn, which is kind of unfortunate, but I don't mind the balance of it here. If I was playing against this, I would hate for this to be an all-turns effect. When you play a Digimon with Crossheart in the traits, by suspending this Tamer, gain 1, which is the whole deck, okay? Like, even look at Merva here. She has Crossheart, so she is a Crossheart as well. So if you play her for 8, you can suspend the Zenjiro here to gain even more memory to help supplement her cost. You could literally, in total, like with the Ignite as an inheritable, and then 4 Zenjiros on field, that's 5 memory. So you can make her a 3 play cost, and you get to play 2 Digimon out for free, and they have Rush and Blocker. Crazy. Crazy, crazy strong. Zenjiro, love Zenjiro. yeah, he's a fantastic card for me. Next, of course, we got the Taiki here. He is a 4 of. He's going to have our more of our search. We've got Shoutmon for search. We've got the Cross 3 for search. And now we've got the Taiki for search as well. So on play, reveal the top 4 of your deck. Add 1 card with Cross Heart and its trait among them to your hand. And place 1 Digimon card with Cross Heart and its traits among them under this Tamer. So you can put anything with Cross Heart in the traits, which is, the Tamers themselves. So if you hit another Tamer, you could grab a Tamer. Some of the option cards actually have Crossheart, the trait Crossheart in the option card, so you could grab those as well. And then you can slide one of your Crossheart Digimon underneath Taiki here, which again, you can use your sources underneath your Tamers for your crosses. So your turn, when you play a Digimon with Digicross requirements, by suspending this Tamer, you may place cards from under your Tamers as Digivolution cards for Digicross. He's the one that makes the whole deck possible. You have Shoutmon for the rush, which is like how you do damage basically, and then you've got Taiki, which allows you to use your after they die and you get your undeletion, save them underneath the Tamer. Then Taiki is the one that allows you to recycle them for all of your crosses. So all of your different crosses, Taiki makes them live because you use all those guys that got deleted and saved under your Tamers. Taiki then lets you use them underneath them. So of course he's a must-have in here as well. And then we got the Akari. Of all the ones I would possibly cut down 3 would be the Akari, but the thing is I like to play out the Derulo for free. So on play you can play a Derulo from your hand or under one of your Tamers. So same thing as Zenjiro, but this one's for Derulo. But this one, when you play a Digimon with Crossheart and its traits on your turn, by suspending this Tamer, draw 1. Besides the search power, you don't have a whole lot of draw engine, so Akari is going to be pretty much your only draw engine for the deck. So she's going to allow you to keep cycling through, and that works for anything. It's not only when you cross; it's anytime you play a Digimon with cross in its traits. So if you hard play, say a Shoutmon to search, you could also suspend your Akari to get a draw as well. So that makes her really strong. A big fan. And then just rounding out the list here, we got our 4 of Gravity Crush and 4 of Blinding Ray. Gravity Crush gives you 2 memory. At the end of a turn, lose 2 memory. Keep in mind, this is at the end of turn and not beginning of your opponent's turn. So if you put your opponent to 1 and they have a memory fixer, the Gravity Crush bumps them up to 3. And then it's the start of their turn, and they would be put to 3, right? They don't go to 3, and then Gravity Crush kicks in, putting them 5. That's not how it works. If people are arguing with you, like, call a judge or somebody, because it's at the end of turn, not the beginning of your opponent's turn. So they gain that memory before the memory fixer goes off. Which is great for Gravity Crush, because if you can pass your turn then after you use this card and put your opponent to 1 and they've got a memory fixer, it's like Gravity Crush didn't even factor in. You just got to gain 2 memory, which is a really good timing when that works out. So keep that in mind if you got a Gravity Crush, and you can work that situation out. It might not be a bad idea to use it early. And then we got Blinding Ray here, which is really strong, but again, massive detriment. Trash the top card of your security stack, then gain 2 memory. If you don't have any security though, you can just play this card and gain 2 memory with no repercussions. If you saw the feature match, our opponent worked us all the way down to 0. We played out 3 Blinding Rays, gained 6 memory, and then just crushed them because of Blinding Ray. Because it's so strong. If you can just manage to survive and get this Blinding Ray off, it's so good. And even early games, if you're just in that position where you can just win, and you can just win, sometimes you just play these Gravity Crushes and Blinding Rays. Now remember, there is some color requirements here, so as long as you have your Taiki or Akari, no issues. But I've seen some instances where people don't have those on field. So I'll have a Pikmons, right? You play the Blinding Ray while you have the Pikmon, then Evo a Shoutmon on top of the Pikmon, and then you play your Gravity Crushes. Yeah, it works like that. You can do that. And then you just go Mervamon and just go to town afterwards. So, really, really cool deck. Really, really high roll. Again, you really need to see your pieces, and if you have a lot of Tamers and security, your opponent almost can never win. If you just see a decent hand early game, you're just going to win before you can outpace any other speedy deck in the format, which is really nice. You can flood the field really nicely as well. So yeah, it's just a fantastic deck all around. Big fan of it. And that's it for my build of it. Again, no text or anything like that. We'll do a Cross 7 build later this week. But I did see one that like blew me away. Real big fan, and that was over here on I'm gonna butcher it. Elvicio Sano. So this is I believe a Latin America Facebook group. A lot of it is in Spanish, but a lot of it is great stuff. They do a lot of reveals for like sets as the reveals are coming out in JP. They do really cool, nice cleared up images for like the cards and stuff like that. So that's really nice. And also, they've done some reveals for tournaments and stuff that they've had down there. This list like really interests me because they combine the hunters with it, because they've got Shoutmon King version worked in here, and Shoutmon King version is the best one out of the hunters because you get to play the cards from hand for free, and it's just any Taiki. So you could play the old Taiki here that we use in the cross build, and you can play that for free off the King version here if you want, or you could play the new one as well. So you see they did cut down on their Tamers just a small bit here, one of each. Worked in some U's as well, because U is really powerful in addition to the Taiki. Taiki's going to just draw, he's like the trio Tamer, you're going to draw one, or put one underneath and draw another. The U is like the other part of the trio Tamer. You're going to put one in underneath to gain one memory. So it takes 2 cards basically to do the same thing that the Trio Tamer did. But these guys have an additional effect of when you Evo into something that has save, you can suspend them to reduce the Evo cost. The idea is to go into superior mode here on top of like one of your level 4s with save in the text. So that's really strong. So superior mode is going to allow you to, get that double attack, which is super strong, as well as it allows you to answer threats, which in my build you'll notice like in certain matchups, like maybe against all fours, yeah, we could flood the field pretty fast before they can pop off a lot of times. But if they ever get established and they get an all fours that's in a pretty good position, they dealing with that blocker can be a bit of a nuisance because they're going to block, bounce, and all that stuff, and it's very frustrating to deal with. We don't really have much of a too great of an answer to deal with that. However, this deck, this version of it does. They've got the superior mode worked in here, so they can just bottom that blocker and just put them underneath one of their Tamers, just clearing out that whole stack. Like absolutely really powerful synergy here. And they basically get to attack twice. They can attack with it, and if it survives, they can do the end of turn attack as well. I really like this build. I could not in good conscience though just create it and then present it to you guys as my own, because absolutely 100% not even close. But I do love this, mainly just the working in the superior mode to deal with decks that have those answers. So that's really cool. Like what did they cut for? They still got the cross 4s, they got the cross 3s, they've got the cross 5s. They cut out the Merva package, so they dropped the Ignite, they dropped the Mervas, they dropped the Blinding Rays, and one of the Gravity Crushes. So what is that? 6, 7, 8, 9 cards there, I think. 7, 8, 9, 10 cards. Yeah, so 10 cards they cut out just at a glance here. It looks like Starmons as well, but they bumped up the Sparrow, so that kind of canceled out. And so that gave them a lot of working room there. So they were able to fit in the superior modes, the U's, the Taikis here, the Congos, super spicy, so no recovering. So even if you come against a recovery deck, this answers a recovery deck as well. I really like this deck. Really cool stuff. Congrats. He got first place with this deck, like absolutely deserved. Like really cool idea. Big fan. Glad he was able to combine the 2 decks. I know a lot of people have been looking at it like, what's the ratios, how do we go about it, and this guy was able to figure it out. So congrats to him. Really cool deck. Absolutely love this one. Might have to try it out for myself here very soon.